Live. We're at Anarchapulco, kicking off day number 4 of 4 wonderful days here in the sun and beaches of a world-class resort. We are at the Princess Resort in Acapulco, Mexico, surrounded by a couple thousand, I think. I haven't gotten the exact numbers from any of the organizers yet, because they're just running left and right. There's always, fires to put out if you're organizing one of these things, especially an event this size. Somebody didn't show up to speak. You got to fill in. Somebody's ticket wasn't where they thought it was, or whatever. So at some point, I hope we'll get one of the organizers on. I did invite her, one of them, over here to talk to us.
I'd love to talk to one of them.
So if she's got 10 minutes, and when I said 10 minutes, she was like, 10 minutes?
Right.
So we'll see.
Insulting.
We'll see if we can do that. We will make that happen. But it is Ian and Mark here in our remote studio, and just, meeting all kinds of folks. Some of the people we've talked to before, others we've never met before, and this is one of those folks. He's Kevin Shaw from Los Angeles. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to Free Talk Live. I just met you just now. We were both talking with Lynn Ulbricht, who we will have on at some point here, probably maybe later today or tomorrow or whatever we can get her. But you were talking with her. You won a lawsuit, free speech, college campus. Set the scene. How did this thing start?
Yes, sir. Well, I was actually, back in 2016, I was passing out copies of the U.S. Constitution in Spanish on my college campus to kind of protest the wall and all the nastiness around the election.
Okay.
And the campus basically threatened to have me removed. They said they were going to call the cops and have me physically removed from
campus. Are you
campus.
a student?
Yes, sir, I am. Yeah, and
I've been threatened to get thrown off of campuses before, but I'm not a student there.
And certainly over nothing as innocuous as passing out the Constitution. Like, we weren't Republicans or Democrats. We weren't trying to be mean. We were just
It's the United States Constitution being passed out in the United States in an area that is probably
on a
somewhat
state-run campus, right? It's a state-funded campus,
It
right?
is. It's a public university. And the worst part about it is they said, basically, in order to do this, I not only had to use a free speech zone, I had to sign a free speech permit, which was...
What?
Yeah, I had to carry a permit with me in order to speak.
That's not free speech.
Right.
I was born under this misguided, belief that the whole country was a free speech zone. But on my campus, it's just a little rectangle.
Wow.
We will not have the United States Constitution passed out in Spanish.
Or at all.
This is ridiculous.
And I thought it was just nonsense, but basically I spent the last 2 years litigating against the Los Angeles Community College District, and finally we just...
So, slow down before we get to the litigation.
Sure.
So they tell you, we're going to throw you off unless you do X, Y, and Z. Did you do X, Y, and Z? Did you get the permits, or did they throw you off? What happened there?
Well, I put up a little bit of a fight. I mean, I am a student, and I had tests to take that day, so I just respectfully, sir, I'm not causing any trouble here. Why do I need to stop? I'm just, exercising my rights.
Yep. Did you get video? Is there video of this?
As a matter of fact, the whole encounter was on video, and we entered that as evidence. But they said, no, this is how we protect student rights. We don't want you out here advocating for anything dangerous, so we decide who gets to speak and in what time slots.
This is dangerous ideas in the Constitution, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
the
then
Constitution was made by people with dangerous ideas.
So at that point you said, I respectfully disagree, but you went ahead and went to class and back down at that point?
I went with them to sign the permit. I did what they wanted to, and I spent the next month and a half setting meetings with the dean. Like, can I see the laws that I'm expected to follow as a student? Where in the student code does it say I need to sign a free speech permit? They could not point to these rules. They're just like arbitrary.
Just arbitrary.
Yeah. So it was after like 2 months we decided to go to a lawsuit.
Now, who's we? You and...
I got help from a group called the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education.
Fire.
Yes, sir. Great people.
Greg Lukendorf.
Yeah, he writes Lukanoff or whatever. He writes a lot of great books.
Yeah, I'm close.
But they took on my case pro bono.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So. This is that's their mission, is to make sure that in this important place that that's supposed to be full of ideas, which isn't anymore.
Nope.
Colleges are no longer full of ideas. They now have a homogenous idea set that you will adopt or you will go away. Is really their theory that now the people can speak.
That's after this lawsuit. Hopefully, this will open things up for student expression on campus.
So it's still going. The lawsuit.
No, it's over now. But they only just struck down the policy. As a result of the lawsuit, they had to strike down the policy at the district level, and now each of the 9 schools in the district has to go through the process of removing these zones. So there's actually like bulldozers on campus right now.
Really,
bulldozing free speech zones. Yeah.
That's got to be satisfying.
I can't believe they had a real free speech, like the permanent free speech zone.
Exactly. and to your point about it being satisfying.
You used to call those town square, the plaza, or whatever.
Yeah, the whole campus. But it was satisfying in that I felt vindicated that there's now, students who come after me are going to not be worried about political expression. But
For
they
now.
spent hundreds
come up
of
with something else.
They spent hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars fighting me in court.
Oh, yeah.
God,
Hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
It's bittersweet, man.
Yeah,
It's
no
really,
doubt.
it's really important to use people's hard-earned money to litigate this, and this silly little point about whether or not you can hand out the United States Constitution on campus.
Insane.
It's crazy.
Man.
This is what they do. There's no losing for these people because they're in the government.
Right.
That's what government means. The ability to never, ever, ever say you're sorry. They're not going to say they're sorry. They might bulldoze their free speech zone, but they will never come to you and say, you know what, we're sorry, and you should be able to hand out constitutions. They've got important points to prove, and they'll spend all of anybody's money, your parents' money or whatever, litigating that crap.
So 2 years, was this multiple courts? Did this go up a level, or where did this go to?
It was in federal court, and I actually
I
got the backing of Jeff Sessions, the Department of Justice. When he was still at the head of the Department of Justice, they wrote a long, scathing thing about how my school had no business curbing First Amendment rights.
Huh,
yeah.
Who knew he did something good?
And I was hoping one day that I could shake his hand and say, "It looks like good people do smoke marijuana, Mr. Sessions." But
that would have been hilarious. That would have been great photo op.
He'd have called you a wascally rabbit.
All right, so are you still going to the school, or are you done?
I just finished.
Okay.
I just finished. Right. Also bittersweet because it's cool I won, but I also didn't get to do a lot of activism.
Well, you did.
Well, you got
to
create the soil upon which the activism will grow.
Yeah. Hopefully the ones will come after me will do it.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. And you said you're involved with the libertarians out there in Los Angeles?
Yes, sir.
There are libertarians in Los Angeles.
There's a few of us. Yeah.
How many?
We got 30,000 registered libertarians in Los Angeles County.
How many show up to the meetings?
Just the really grumpy ones. Yeah.
How many?
At our county meetings, I say we get like between 30, 40 people.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. We're from New Hampshire, by the way, so there's like this whole migration. I don't know if you've heard about it. Libertarians from all around the United States are moving to one place. They're moving to that's one of them. Yep, that's what kind of started the migration. But there's also more of a decentralized movement now. There's 2 summer camping festivals that happen. There's the one the Free State Project puts on, which is called Pork Fest, the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and now there's Fork Fest, which happens 5 days before Pork Fest, which is decentralized. So there's no board of directors, there's no organizers. It's just you just do whatever it is you want to do. You create the things that you want other people to experience. So if you get a chance, I think you would enjoy. There's a really great group of liberty-minded folks out there in New Hampshire, many of whom have a long history of getting into it on college campuses.
The website is forkfest.party?
Forkfest.party is the website. And that is where you can go to learn more about it. It's coming up in June, I think the 13th through the 18th. I think that's those are the Fork Fest dates. And I'm not actually giving you that DVD, but it's Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. If you love college campus activism, there's some really great segments in there from like 2012 where New Hampshire, of course, the first state in the it's got the primary, right? The first primary. Yeah. So all these politicians come there, and we just targeted the hell out of these people on the college campuses, and it was so much fun. And we got it all on video. Derek J was arrested 5 times in a 1-year time frame for civil disobedience and non-cooperation. So it's a little taste of some of the things that have happened there. So I just say that because maybe you didn't know that maybe you didn't know that existed. And the movie's free to watch online at victimlesscrimespree.com. So was there anything else that we should have asked you that we didn't about your experience?
No, man. Now I kind of want to come visit you guys in New Hampshire.
You ought to, man, because you're missing out. Kevin Shaw, thanks for coming on Free Talk Live, man. Really appreciate it. Was this your first year at Anarchapulco?
Yes, sir, it was.
How are you liking it so far?
It's amazing. Most of my anarchist friends are in the Libertarian Party, so I wanted to commune more with folks who reject the political process entirely. So this is great.
This is the place.
Yeah,
for sure. And there's a lot of them in the summertime at New Hampshire as well. So maybe we'll see you then.
Hell yeah! All
right, Ian and Mark here in the studio at Acapulco, beautiful location here on the Pacific Ocean. Mark, man, it's been a great weekend, hasn't it?
Yeah, the weather's been beautiful. The funny thing about Acapulco is basically the weather's the same
every day, all year long.
Year round. They get about 53 inches of rain per year.
Yep,
and
which isn't a lot.
The difference between summer and winter is about 6 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's it.
That's summer and winter. 6 degrees Fahrenheit is the deviation here. So, you can see why the Hollywood stars of yesteryear really found this to be a wonderful place. I guess it was King Edward from early in the 20th century who found this, and they're like, oh, this is wonderful. And, then the rich and famous came here to enjoy the weather, and then, that trickles down. And, now it seems to be mostly people from Mexico who come to visit here.
We got more coming up. It's a great event. Lots of people to talk to still here at Free Talk Live at This is Free Talk Live. We are at Anarchapulco 2019 on another beautiful day here. Day number 4. Got all kinds of interesting folks to talk to, but I also want to let you know that Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. Because if you are new to cryptocurrency, you're new to Bitcoin, then this is a great site to go to, even if you're not new. But if you're new, yeah, you definitely need to learn the basics, and Bitcoin.com has it. They've got a great Bitcoin Academy that you can go through. Go to Bitcoin.com to get started. You can also learn how to choose a Bitcoin wallet, buy your first Bitcoin or fraction of a Bitcoin, and find out where you can spend your Bitcoin. Plus, if you're not new, you can read the latest news headlines. Get the latest news for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency world there over at Bitcoin.com. Plus, they've also got the Bitcoin Forum. Once again, it's Bitcoin.com. And not only are they bringing you Free Talk Live, but they're also bringing you this event, Anarchapulco.
True.
Bitcoin.com, major sponsor both last year and this year. It's great to be here. They got their Bitcoin booth babes out here and everything. It's been great. So anyway, we're here, Ian and Mark in our studio, and just talking with all kinds of interesting folks. Robert Allen is here from Bitcoin and Friends, BTCandFriends.com. It's a cartoon show that is not yet premiered, and we're going to get into that. You're premiering it actually here this weekend at Anarchapulco, but it won't be premiered on the full internet until March 1st. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, March 1st.
But the website's up. BTCandFriends.com. So if people want to get the little teaser sizzle video, that's there, right?
We have a pitch video on the website. If you want to see the 2-minute trailer, go to our Twitter, and you'll see a YouTube video pinned to the top. It's BTC and Friends is the Twitter handle.
Very cool. So what's your story, Robert? I mean, how'd you end up getting into... I see you're wearing a Bitcoin shirt here, Bitcoin and Friends, your own shirt, I presume.
Promoting the show, yes.
Yep. So how did you get into Bitcoin? What's your story?
So, well, I got into, libertarianism through Ron Paul, which many people did.
So many did.
Yeah, back in, 2007 during his campaign.
Oh, right.
And started to wake up to, a lot of issues in the economy and in the United States. Ended up working for Peter Schiff for a couple of years as a precious metals broker in New York. And
is that where you're from, New York?
No, but I moved there after college. I lived in New York for about 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
You poor man. I'm so sorry. We're from New Hampshire, so
I gotcha.
New York is like the least free state of all the 50 states by far. Like there's a chart called the Freedom in the 50 States, and so it's like 1 to 49. California's at 49, and then way down there's New York.
It's the Empire State for a reason.
So California, like one of the worst states.
Evil.
California would have to get way, way worse than it already is to even reach New York. So. I always feel sorry for people that live in New York.
I believe it. Yeah, there's a reason I moved away, and I don't live there now.
Right.
So
you were in New York working at Peter Schiff.
Yeah, so I worked there, and then I found out about Bitcoin actually originally at the Freedom Festival, Porcupine Freedom Fest in New Hampshire in 2000. I think it was 11 when I went up there.
Oh, well, we were all there together then. Yeah. We just didn't meet you.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, I thought it was a weird scam project.
Really? Now, what was the encounter? Because that was like 2011 was right around when like Roger Ver would have been there giving away Bitcoin, or Eric Voorhees from Shapeshift. Do you remember who you encountered and like what that was like for you?
I didn't have a lot of direct encounters with people with Bitcoin. I just remember seeing signs for it and hearing a little bit about it and just kind of like murmurings.
Some buzz.
Yeah.
Some buzz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the reason I didn't take it seriously was that, obviously this problem with digital items is that they're typically not scarce. So digital scarcity was something that hadn't existed prior to Bitcoin. And I just couldn't imagine that problem had been solved, I guess, quite frankly. And also, when you work in precious metals, I guess I had kind of, drank the Kool-Aid and had this idea that a lot of people do. Peter Schiff still believes and will say that, money has to be backed by something
that was one
physical.
of our first objections.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first sat down with Gavin Andreessen, when he took us out, one of the original Bitcoin programmers, took us out for lunch in Keene, New Hampshire, where we're from, my first objection was, well, what's it backed by? Because we were into gold and silver a lot at that time, and I just, we didn't know. And I think the best answer I've ever heard to that question is it's backed by the network.
Yeah.
The fact that this crypto, secure network, decentralized, distributed, global, fast. This is valuable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And this is what backs the Bitcoin network is what it is. That's what's valuable about it.
Yeah, because you can move it. It's a payment
It does what
system.
it says it's going to do.
Right, it does what it says it's going to do.
But I would also add to that, too, that ironically, I believe it's Murray Rothbard said that, value is subjective. And if you really take a deep dive into, exploring that topic and you have, I guess, clear thinking, I think you have to arrive at that conclusion. And so, therefore, if value is subjective, then there's no reason why a digital item cannot have value. Because money really is a kind of a shared hallucination in many respects. So I found Bitcoin. I ended up quitting Euro Pacific Metals, actually now called Shift Gold. Great company, great team. No bad blood, but just felt like I needed to move on. Yep. And so then I founded my company, which I'm still running today, called CoinCube, which is a crypto index investment automation software platform. So basically, you can connect exchanges. It'll automate a portfolio for you. And I've been doing that for a few years. And then my younger brother actually has been working in film production for, 5, 6, 7 years now. And, we started just chatting back and forth about ideas for new projects. And I'd really been encouraging him to look at something more of like a series as opposed to movies, because we've seen, serial projects tend to do really well these days.
They're more viral. They're shorter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, back and forth, and we've finally thought, why don't we do something with crypto? And so he took that idea and ran with it, and has written up. We've outlined an entire season. I'd say it's about half written at this point. And yeah, we're really thrilled about it. It's really a lot of fun. And basically, it's if you take a show kind of like South Park and you marry that to the crypto economy and the history of Bitcoin. That should give you a sense of what it's going to be like.
When you say like South Park, do you mean the animation style or crass?
I mean the sort of adult humor for adults. It's not a
kid show.
It's not a kid show.
Okay.
It is a cartoon.
Yep.
The animation style is more kind of more old school. It's almost more like if you remember those old like Schoolhouse Rock cartoons.
Yeah, who doesn't remember those?
Right. So it's kind of more that style of animation,
but not for kids.
But not for kids.
And fewer bluesy songs.
And well, we are going to have.
Is there musical accompaniment?
We're going to do some musical type stuff similar to South Park as well. I do dabble in music, and so yeah, we'll have some fun with that.
If a song's catchy, it'll make a big difference. That's for sure.
Yes,
absolutely. So the show is Bitcoin and Friends. The website btcandfriends.com. That's where you'll be able to see it. Is it going to be a YouTube thing, or like what platforms are you going to put it on?
Yeah, we're going to launch it on YouTube to start. This is self-funded, and we're looking at spending around $30-40 per episode.
Wow.
Mostly the animation cost is where that's coming from. So we'll just see how it goes. We really hope that the community will kind of rally around and support. Hopefully people really enjoy it. And we're going to be looking for corporate sponsors, so hopefully we'll find some crypto companies that want to get their name out, and it should be a good win-win situation.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. I'm excited to see it. Robert Allen, thank you for coming on Free Talk Live with us here at Anarchapulco.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Much appreciated. We got more on the way here. We're in the beautiful Princess Hotel in Acapulco, Mexico for Anarchapulco 2019. We got more coming up. And join us online over at freetalklive.com, the Discord server, which we haven't mentioned at all this weekend.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. SaveATPurse.com.
It's Free Talk Live. We're here at Anarchapulco 2019. Ian and Mark in our remote studios talking with a variety of folks. Some of the people who are just attendees, others who are speakers at the event, and that is where we're going to next with Charlie Robinson, who actually, Charlie, you spoke at the TDV Summit, which is more of a monetary thing that actually happens 2 days before Anarchapulco, but you're here throughout the weekend, and you're also an author of The Octopus of Global Control, with a very creepy front cover here. The United States flag is kind of the background, and it's all like it looks like it's the ground of the desert, all dried, cracked up. And then there's this logo with an octopus coming over the back of the globe with its tentacles everywhere. What's your story, and how'd you end up writing a book?
So the story behind the logo, actually, the octopus is normally yellow, and it came from the logo that the National Reconnaissance Office used.
It's a federal government thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
it was
familiar.
on a spy satellite that they launched, and the way my logo is set up, it says the octopus across the top, and it says of global control on the bottom, but on the spy satellite, it says nothing is beyond our reach. And they launched that. Yeah,
theirs might be creepier, yeah.
So I did a play on that. I switched up the colors a little bit, but the idea of the octopus strangling the planet is a metaphor. I didn't invent it, of course. It's been around for a long, long time. Danny Casallero's Octopus book. We've got John Francis Hyland, the mayor of New York City in 1922, referring to the giant Rockefeller octopus that is strangling the planet and corrupting all levels of government. So it's nothing new symbology-wise that I've brought up. I just sort of brought it to the forefront. And what I did with the book was, it came out of a conversation I had on a Thanksgiving dinner where you bring up 9/11 and the table turns on you and you're like, what have I done? And so my feeling was, I've got these family members looking at me like, who are you? You're no expert. How do you know? What are you talking about? Controlled demolition of the trade centers and things like, are you a structural engineer? No, of course I'm not. So what my feeling was, you might not know, you might not believe me, you might think I'm out of my mind, but what if you were to hear the words from other people that you respect? What if you were to hear General Wesley Clark talking about how we were going to go invade 7 countries in 5 years? What if you heard Richard Gage, who is an engineer, talk about how it's mathematically and scientifically impossible for jet fuel to melt steel? Would it matter to you then? Would these stories, would these, this example of what I'm talking about with 9/11, would it change your opinion if you heard it not from me, but from somebody else? And, of course, the answer is, well, yeah, I would strengthen the case a little bit. So what I did with the book is I brought in quotes from over 500 different people that had had some sort of role in some of the most important events in the world. Because, we never hear these things on the nightly news. You never hear David Rockefeller talk about it at Bilderberg, thanking the media for keeping their silence, that we would never be able to impose our one world government without your cooperation and your agreement to stay silent. Well, that's kind of an interesting thing to hear.
Now, do you really think that it's going to a one-world government? Because
that sounds crazy to me.
This is something that conspiracy theorists have been touting for decades. Alex
we get
Jones,
more countries now rather than fewer.
Right, and it seems to me like these government goons, they don't all get along real well. So, what's the odds that that's going to turn into a one-world government? Seems unbelievable.
Well, it's incremental, of course. So they don't. Although they do have meetings where they get together and discuss their plan, essentially they don't. Those meetings are a bit unnecessary because the people that are in control understand what benefits them. They don't have to get together and say, this is in my best interest, that I control the money supply, or that I start wars, or that I balkanize the Middle East so that things are easier to control for us. So yeah, you have to respect their ability to play a very long game. It's not going to happen overnight. It's incremental. Mm-hmm. And the removal of sovereign boundaries is definitely something that they're pushing for. We saw that as they're trying to combine Europe into the EU. They did that. They would like to do that with as many regions as they could to make it easier to control, to centralize the power structure. So that's really nothing new. This has been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe even thousands.
It happened in the United States, right? Like there were 50 states with, a state as an organization has sovereignty. And now there's basically one state, and that's the Washington, D.C., and we all do what they say.
Right.
They control basically everything in your state, and if they don't control it, it's simply at their pleasure. Yep. They can change that any time, and they will, and they do it all the time. So there's a homogeny there. I also can see that that Washington, D.C. has a huge amount of power around the world. I was in Belize a couple of years ago. I saw United States flag on their check-in and check-out desk where you get your passport stamped. The U.S. flag was there. It said, donated by the United States State Department. And so what I would presume from that is that Belize really doesn't care whether or not they stamp this little book that the United States State Department does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're seeing that he who has the gold makes the rules. The United States prints currency out of thin air, as we know, and they use that money to buy off influence and leverage people and push countries. And for me, the awakening moment was when I read John Perkins' book Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and part of what that book talked about was he explained how when he worked for a company called Maine, which is no longer around, but it's the equivalent of a Halliburton or Bechtel multinational engineering firm, they would approach countries like Ecuador and say, you have the great situation where we could build a hydroelectric power plant. It would generate electricity. It'll generate revenue. This electricity will power lights in your villages. Your children will learn to read at night. Everything will be great. It'll throw off all of this revenue. It'll more than pay for itself, and then you guys will be welcomed into the first world. Well, that's not exactly how it goes. It was a debt trap. The IMF and World Bank loaned them the money, but they did it it was never going to pencil out. It was a mathematical impossibility. And so after a couple years, Ecuador gets themselves behind in their payments. And like any good loan shark, the United States or the World Bank and IMF approach them and say, you owe us a lot of money. And we want it. So why don't you privatize your lumber industry and sell it to our buddies? Or why don't you allow us to build a military base in your country or vote our way in a UN resolution? So I read this book in 2007, and it woke me up to the fact that these banking institutions are used to enslave countries, not militarily, but financially, which can be even more
controlling,
and even more resentment.
For sure, I propose that there are 8 tentacles of control, and I think most people believe that the military is the most dangerous. I disagree. I think it's the banking. I think the banking industry is the most dangerous. It's been enslaving humanity for years and years. We're here at
You can do it without pointing a gun at anybody.
Right? Absolutely, and people don't even know they're being enslaved, which is the best way to control people.
Yeah. So it's military and banking. What are the other 6 tentacles of this octopus?
Media, scientific, covert. Covert's a big one. Spiritual. So, I mean, Doug, I mean, it's not to say that there are only 8. Believe me, there are plenty of ways to enslave humanity.
But your premise is an octopus, so you used 8.
Yeah, I used 8, exactly. If there had been a 9-tentacled octopus, I would have found a 9th one.
So I'm kind of on the fence on this media one. I've been working in media for most of my adult life, as has Ian. And we've never been invited to the meeting. Whatever the meeting is, no one's ever invited us. Now, admittedly, we're not the biggest talk show in America. I mean, 200 radio stations. We're not messing around either.
194.
Yeah, maybe the Bilderbergers have a cutoff level of 200, or maybe they just realized that inviting us would be a bad idea. I don't have any idea, and I don't know if it's the Bilderbergers. I don't know. This is just a term that I'm throwing out. But at the same time, I remember when Rush Limbaugh did this montage of the word gravitas. So it had to have been a decade ago. Go look for it on YouTube. It's awesome. Just Rush Limbaugh, the word gravitas. And
where all the news anchors are saying it, you mean?
And then what he does is in just like 2 days' time, he takes all these news anchors. It has to be 36 news anchors. And he just has them say, gravitas, 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 gravitas. Like, how in the world would these people manage? I mean, somebody gave them some notes, and they said, well, I like this word gravitas. This is nice. And they said it. There's no other way there's no way to get around that. However, like I said, I've never seen the meeting, so I'm curious about all this. What do you think?
Hold on, before you answer that question, stick with us. We're going to bring you on for another segment here in moments. You can answer Mark's question. We'll have time. It's Free Talk Live, Anarchapulco 2019, brought to you by Liberty.menu. If you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, then you qualify to be on Liberty.menu. It's a tool for the libertarian, voluntarist, anarchist community, people that care about freedom. You ought to be there. It's basically a free business directory that lists your business, or maybe if you're a content creator or an events coordinator, whatever it is that you do that you think other liberty-minded folks might be interested in, you put it up there, and then they'll find out about it, hopefully. Go to Liberty.menu to check it out. It's super easy to use, and it's free to do it. So we can't give you a discount because it's free. liberty.menu. Head on over there and get started. You can use code FTL, and that'll get you a special listener badge. Liberty.menu. It's Ian and Mark here at our beautiful studios. Always catching a nice breeze off of the ocean here at the Princess Resort in Acapulco, Mexico. All kinds of interesting folks around that we can talk to here. And we've got Charlie Robinson. He's an author of The Octopus of Global Control. Now, we were talking about the 8 tentacles of the octopus, and one of them you mentioned was media. And, Mark, you were quibbling on this and explaining that, we've been in media for a long time. Nobody has ever tantalized us with the promise of money, because we don't make a whole lot of money.
No, it'd be wonderful. Where's that check from the Bilderbergers?
The promise of power, the promise of more stations. We got 194 stations, and all of them we earned by going out calling, making cold calls basically to these radio stations. Some of whom are, Clear Channel, or what was known as Clear Channel, now iHeartMedia, Cumulus. So we're on some of the big ones out there.
Right. And I'm told that the globalists hate this idea of illegal immigration, that they're all for the illegal immigration, and that since Free Talk Live does in fact take the position that free people should be able to cross the borders of free countries freely, you'd think they'd be right looking for us. Where's our boys?
Where's our check?
Here's the globalist community. So please, if you'd explain to me about this media, the media complicity.
Well, you need to be a member of the Council on Foreign Relations if you want to start getting those big checks. But then again, you're going to have talking points like we talked about with the term that you're saying over and over again that comes out of nowhere. What was the term?
Bilderbergers? No,
the one that you just said.
I don't know. You tell me.
That Rush Limbaugh was talking about. That everyone.
Gravitas.
Gravitas. Yeah.
So if you look for YouTube, you go search Rush Limbaugh Gravitas. You'll see this amazing montage of news anchors that just keep saying the same word over and over again, and they must have got a memo.
They had to have gotten it at the Council on Foreign Relations meeting, much like when you see the Sinclair media. Video that went out over the last couple months ago, where 200 local news anchors are repeating the same prepackaged talking points, the same script about how fake news is destroying it, without having the understanding that by having everybody read the same script, they are in fact the epitome of fake news. They don't even realize it. They're so unaware of what they've become. So it's, that the media is dangerous. The media is so dangerous because, our parents grew up trusting Dan Rather or Tom Brokaw. Their default setting was trust until you hear something that is a lie. So these days, I don't even believe them when they tell me what the weather is. I'm so distrustful of anything that I hear on the corporate media.
Don't surveys show that Americans are becoming much less trustful of the things the media says? Isn't that a change that we're starting to see?
I feel that.
Yeah.
You never know with the surveys who's doing it, but I don't know why they would put out a survey saying that. But I think the answer is yes. We're at Anarchapulco in the Dollar Vigilante Summit, and I will tell you that I don't think anybody here is a fan of the corporate media. I think they understand the scam and the game. And, we've got Dr. Sherry Tenpenny is going to be speaking in a couple minutes here about vaccines. And, we watch people like Cheryl Atkinson get thrown off of CBS for talking about vaccines. Well, I wonder why. Because when you go to commercial on the nightly news, every other commercial is from a pharmaceutical company. So you're never going to get some anchor that's going to do some in-depth story on how vaccines may not be what they seem, because you have the CEO of Merck showing up in the president of NBC's office the next morning threatening to pull $1 billion worth of advertising. So you're going to have these issues where if you're looking to the corporate media to get the truth, you have to understand that there's so much money involved in it that they can't give you the truth, even if they want to. And it's not to say that every news anchor is a horrible, soulless robot. Most of them probably are, but maybe not all of them. There might be some people in there thinking
Ben Swan, but he got kicked off.
But Ben Swan got kicked off. Ben Swan is most definitely not a soulless robot.
Right.
He's a phenomenal human being, but he
pulled the plug on him.
They said you got to get up. You're talking way too much truth there, Ben. So you got to go. But that's what you get here. For people that aren't here this year, think about coming next year. There's a lot going on. It's just education. I'm here. I know nothing about cryptocurrencies. I'm going to learn about cryptocurrencies.
You're in the right place. Yeah,
I am in the right place. There's a lot going on. So it's educational for me.
One of the things I don't sort of ascribe to is the notion that there's one overarching organization that runs the whole world. It seems to me unlikely that one organization would have somehow beat out the other organizations. Surely the world was fractionalized when there was a lack of communications. There must be a Chinese triumvirate, a European one, an African, whatever they might have been. Seems unlikely that there's just one left. I mean, why is it that we believe, in many cases, in the liberty movement or in the conspiracy theory movement, that we know what these people believe when there must be more than one of them and they must believe different things?
Well, there is definitely more than one of them. I watched David Icke last night, or he was talking about how the left-right paradigm with George Soros being on the left, Sheldon Adelson being on the right, and they portray these two people as being dissimilar in terms of what their interests are. I think they're very similar, but they're set up in a way that they divide you into left-right. There are many agendas going on. The core, and like you said, there are a lot of groups vying for control, but the one thing that they all have in common is that they want to centralize power as much as they can in their own hands.
Absolutely.
They want to take control of the money system. They want to control your mind. They want to control what you believe. They want to keep you dumbed down and focused, on the plantation, working away,
right.
Never organizing yourself to realize, they want the slaves fighting with each other and not looking at the
They're very good at that.
They're very good at that. And we have to take we have to acknowledge our role in that. We have to take a little bit more responsibility for our actions and acknowledge that we play a part in this, and waking up and being more aware of your situations is essential. For me, it happened in 2007 when I read John Perkins' book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It woke me up. And then a couple years later, after I had discovered some brand new conspiracy that I was excited about, telling my mother about it, who seems to be one of the few people in my life that was open to listening, she asked me a very simple question, and that was, you've got all this information, what are you going to do with it? And it had never crossed my mind that I had to do anything with it. And so I quietly...
So what am I going to do with it?
I wrote a book. That's what I did. It took me a while. I wrote it in secret. I literally wrote it in the middle of the night. Didn't tell anybody. When the first shipment of books came to the door and my wife opened the box, she saw
Your wife
the book.
Didn't even know.
She saw the book, and she threw me out of the house for 2 days. And hey, listen, I don't have a secret double life. I don't have another family in Utah or anything. I mean, you should be happy that I only wrote a book. She did not see it that way, but she'd warmed to the idea of it now, and now here I am as a speaker here and getting a chance to meet other people. And so, I felt like I wanted to know, I wanted to figure out what it was I could do to help. I felt an obligation. I felt like if I knew this information, if I'd come across this, it had, and I feel that it's important, and I did nothing about it, I would feel...
You have to blame yourself then.
I would feel that I was in part contributing to the problem by not making people aware of it. So
inaction is a choice, and it's not a good one.
It is, and so I wrote a book. In some cases, you guys have radio shows. That's your thing. Jeff Berwick
does the Anarchast.
And
the Anarchapulco.
Which is back on LRN.FM, by the way. There was a technical difficulty that had been preventing that from being on for like a year, and finally fixed it. Yep, so
good.
Anarchast is back.
I did his show a couple months ago. It was fantastic, and now I'm here. And so, so whatever it is, if you're in your life, if you've come across this information, you feel it's important, do what you can. Talk to your friends, talk to your kids, talk to your parents, talk to whoever you can. Yes, people are going to think that you're a bit screwy, and that's okay, but that's how it always starts. People always think you're crazy when you talk about something non-conventional like this, but just because it sounds a bit crazy doesn't mean it isn't true.
The good news is the money thing, which is one of the tentacles, right? Money and banking.
Yes.
Cryptocurrency is a game changer for that.
It certainly is.
And I don't know how deep you've gotten into it yet, but we've been into it for a while, so if you've got any questions, feel free to to hit us up with those off the air here in a little bit. And folks can go and learn more about your book, Charlie. It's Charlie Robinson. The book is The Octopus of Global Control. That's the website as well, right?
That's the website. The book is available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. I encourage you to buy it because these ayahuasca sessions are not going to pay for themselves, people.
Oh, God, the ayahuasca, which I have not tried, by the way, but I've heard really good reviews. Like, I was surprised that it went as well as it did for people considering that they were in a group with people
was
they
it
probably
the
never met
vomiting you like
before.
best?
I didn't do it,
No.
but he did. We don't have time to talk about it right now. More coming up from Anarchapulco.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dynovite is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dynovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
This is Free Talk Live, and it's Anarchapulco 2019 on day number 4, but we've been in kind of like a time warp all weekend where we're actually recording into the future. So as you're hearing me airing this show, it's Sunday, but we're actually recording it on Saturday. So we're kind of like a day behind what's actually happened. And so I can finally say what happened with Ron Paul's speech last night, which was 2 nights ago by the time you're hearing this. And it was great. Like, Ron Paul showed up, did an amazing speech, but most importantly, he showed up. And there was a lot of people wondering whether or not Ron Paul was going to attend, because there was this murder that happened here in Acapulco a couple weeks ago with an anarchist, and some of the guests and some of the attendees didn't show, but the attendance here has been strong. It's been great, and Ron Paul came in through the front door, took his time coming down here, hung out with lots of his fans, did a lot of selfies with folks, taking pictures, and just stood and talked with people like Lynn Ulbricht and just fans, people who love Ron Paul, and just kind of spent a whole lot of time just, meandering around and hanging out and meeting people, and it was really, really cool to see that happen. So, and I wrote up an article about it over at freekeen.com, which you should check out. It's called Ron Paul is Not a Chicken, so go and check that out when you get a chance. All right, so we're here. It is, like I said, day number 4 at Anarchapulco 2019, and it's Ian Freeman here with Free Talk Live. And as we've been doing throughout the weekend, interviewing special guests, folks we've met before and people who we've never met before. Fu Styles is with me here in our remote studio, the beautiful Princess Resort. Good morning, Fu.
Good morning.
You just got off the Cryptopulco stage just a couple of moments ago.
I did.
And Mark, who is my normal co-host, but he's in there hosting the Cryptopulco stage, he said, I got to talk to Fu because, well, you are you're decentralized living. What was the topic of your discussion this morning?
So, it was called Decentralized Living with Fu Styles. And I'm a decentralized futurist, where when someone asks me, where are you from? I say, everywhere and nowhere.
The Earth.
The Earth. I'm a global citizen.
All right. How did you become decentralized? How does that work?
So I'm like most people, having had a home,
at some point.
A home base, and was tied down to material possessions, a car, 2 apartments, 2 cars, 2 apartments,
wow.
A lot of stuff, and over around from 2008 to 2018.
Okay.
I had a lot of stuff.
Stuff is a burden, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I'm currently in the blockchain space. Mm-hmm. I work as a CEO of Blockchain PR. We do marketing and PR for all things blockchain related. I'm also a venture capitalist, a venture partner at Valorum Capital out of Silicon Valley, and I founded the Women in Blockchain Foundation.
Oh, neat.
And I advise...
We need more of those.
Yes. And... And I advise about 10 companies in the blockchain space as well.
Right on.
So I'm quite busy, but I don't live anywhere. So everyone's like, how do you do that? How do you not live anywhere, but you have to do so much?
Right.
Well, luckily, we live in a time when there are computers and the internet.
Yeah, sure.
So, so digital nomadism is what this is probably known as. But a lot of digital nomads still have something of a home base. I literally got rid of all of my possessions.
Really?
Yeah. And I've inspired a lot
You're
of...
wearing clothes, so you must have
so
something.
I only have one suitcase, a carry-on suitcase. And I only wear... Before I only wore one color, but now I wear two colors. And my clothes are very stylish because I'm Pooh Styles. But they're very, and they're versatile.
Yeah.
So, and I wear the same things almost all the time. So almost like a uniform to make it very easy. And
you're recognizable because you're always in the same thing, right?
That too.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
and I, so.
Are you constantly doing laundry?
Yes, there's a lot of laundry in my life. Yes, I'd say like at least definitely once a week, if not sooner.
Right.
So yeah, and only carry on. So only carry on. I'm going to a new city. Last year I averaged about a different city every 4 to 7 days. So living literally out of a suitcase.
Okay, so take me back a little further though. What was it that you said you had 2 apartments, 2 cars. What was it that inspired this change for you?
Well, having been bi-coastal...
And when was it?
Oh, so I was bi-coastal around 2012.
Okay.
So I was a celebrity fashion stylist at the time.
Not into crypto yet? At 2012?
No, not into crypto yet. But around the end of 2013, I became the first celebrity fashion stylist to accept Bitcoin. So
nice.
So that was my connection to crypto. But at that time... I wasn't aware of blockchain. I didn't understand the technology behind Bitcoin at all. But I just
you were willing to accept it, though you didn't understand it.
Not as a real technology. I understood it as another form of payment, and I said, sure, why not?
You don't need to understand it to accept it.
So exactly, didn't really need to, but definitely had always been into technology. So I was always going to the Consumer Electronics Show. I actually used my first Bitcoin ATM at CES, and was friends with Michael Turpin, who a lot of people know in the crypto space. So had a lot of influence already in it.
Yeah.
So, and then I got into virtual reality, started a startup making 360 VR music videos.
Oh, cool.
And then got into augmented reality, started my own augmented reality company, went through a tech accelerator in Silicon Valley. And then after graduating the accelerator, I went to my first blockchain conference.
Which one was that? Do you remember?
BlockCon.
Okay.
In Los Angeles. And so while I was in the accelerator, I was living in co-living places in Silicon Valley. So that was the beginning of it, right? So
what's a co-living place?
Basically, you're living with a bunch of people, like a 10-bedroom house.
Is that like different from a hostel?
But it's more long-term living.
Okay.
So a hostel, you're living that you could go there one night.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Okay.
And it's like, although a lot of the places...
So you're just talking about having a lot of roommates in a place, basically.
Right.
Okay.
But co-living, you're doing long-term roommates. But in Silicon Valley, it was so great. You have... Silicon Valley is just limited in space. That was the biggest problem. Like, housing is expensive, and there's a lack of it. And there's, And being someone who was going into Silicon Valley to do an accelerator program for nearly 4 months, I was traveling back and forth from LA to SF. So I would stay in a co-living space for 1 week at a time, or half of the week, or sometimes I'd stay 2 weeks. And I would just fly up with a car and a suitcase. So that was the beginning of it.
So at that point, you'd already pared down some of your possessions.
Yes.
You'd sold, got rid of, thrown away, whatever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but once I got into blockchain, so after I went to my first blockchain conference, that was like down the rabbit hole.
Okay. All right.
To never return. Never return.
For the better.
For the better.
Yep.
I found my people.
Yeah, right on. That's so cool.
So I got recruited to be part of blockchain PR, and then I acquired Blockchain PR, as one does.
Yep.
And now, I'm co-founder and CEO of Blockchain PR, and started working in the space immediately and started traveling and going to crypto conferences and learning everything there was to learn about crypto and blockchain. And that made it really easy for me not to own anything anymore. And I've always, so coming from having been a celebrity fashion stylist where I had to push consumerism, right? Because I was putting on an aspirational life for people to see on these
people to look up to emulate, to copy.
Right. But the thing about that is celebrities don't actually own those things.
The things they're wearing, you mean?
Yeah, the things I put on the red carpet or the things in the magazines, it's not like they own those things. Those are all borrowed, right? So for me, just intrinsically, it didn't sit well.
Yeah.
And also, I'm been an environmentalist since I was a child. I was just like, this doesn't sit well. And pushing consumerism wasn't a thing I ever wanted to do.
Yeah, but stand by. Can you hold that thought?
Sure.
We'll continue here. Another segment with Foo Styles. Your website, foostyles.com?
Blockchainpr.io.
Okay, I'm sorry. Blockchain P, I should ask. It's Free Talk Live at Anarchapulco 2019 here at the beautiful Princess Resort in Acapulco, Mexico. And it's been a great event, bigger attendance than last year. We can talk more about it. Hopefully one of the organizers is going to be able to stop for 10 minutes and come over and talk to us here in a little bit. But I do want to say thank you to Joe Maraca, who is a Free Talk Live Platinum Amplifier, which means Joe gives $25 per month to the show. Now, we only ask for $5, but he's gone way above and beyond the call of duty to help us advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live. That is the way that we can get on more radio stations. We got 194 today, but we could be on more than that, and it is your support that helps make that possible. So please join the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com if you like what we do here, talking about freedom and liberty and cryptocurrency and peace on a 7-day-a-week basis on the radio and online. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. That's where you can do that with credit card or PayPal or Bitcoin BTC. So once again, it's amp.freetalklive.com. I'm Ian Freeman here with Foo Styles from blockchainpr.io. Foo, thanks for staying with me here.
Yes, hello.
So we were talking about, your discussion here today, which I wasn't able to see because I'm always out here doing this thing, but was about decentralized living. And so I was asking you how you went from being a fashion designer to the stylist.
Yeah.
So does it mean you're doing their hairstyles, or like what does that mean?
No, I'm dressing them and being in charge of presenting their image, curating what their look is.
So to the stars, and then you had two apartments and 2 cars, and at some point you had a shift in what you valued, or maybe shifted more towards what you valued.
Yes, always valued. But I love fashion. That was the look and the artistic side of it, but not the
consumerism.
The consumerism I always had a problem with. Yeah, and then that became a problem when I just had owned so much stuff that the things owned me.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true about having things. I love simplicity, keeping it simple, getting rid of unnecessary things. I don't like having to have a house full of stuff and, broadcast equipment or whatever, but in order to do what it is I have to do, then I got to have some stuff. But you've managed to pare things down to not even a checked bag, you said, just a carry-on?
Yes.
As far as when you're traveling around, that's all you've got. That's it, your whole life fits in that one carry-on. Is that right?
Yes, but I'm also a really small person, so
that's true. That helps.
My clothes are really light and small, and also if I buy something new or I get something new, I get a lot of swag at all these crypto conferences.
Yep.
I have to give something away.
Sure.
So I'm part of that giving economy. So
right on.
And that's the biggest part about decentralized living. You really have to embrace the sharing economy. Airbnb, Uber, all those more centralized sharing economy systems until we get decentralized ones that become big.
Well, it's the next step. Uber's just the step on the way to whatever it is that is coming after that.
Yes.
And I don't think they're even making money yet, are they?
I think they're losing money, hemorrhaging money.
So, all right. So you got into cryptocurrency. You really dug into it after getting to one of the crypto conferences, and then
BlockCon.
BlockCon.
I would say I'm more into blockchain, just as the
concept,
the technology, and the values behind it.
The idea for listeners maybe just tuning in, so we always have new people tuning in. Blockchain is the technology that backs Bitcoin and a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. It's basically a ledger. Most of them are public that anybody can look at, and it's copied and decentralized and distributed in over 10,000 places, I think, for Bitcoin all around the globe. So it can't be stopped. It can't be shut down. It can't. Fraud's basically impossible with it. So the fact that it exists in multiple places means if one person tries to change their copy of it without authorization, then the other ones will reject that. So it's actually really
transparent, immutable.
Yeah. And it's a world-changing technology, isn't it?
It's world-changing, except it hasn't actually changed anything yet.
You don't think?
Except for, Bitcoin.
How will you know?
Well, currently, nothing's actually really working in a massive way yet.
Well, it hasn't caught on, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, things aren't scaled yet,
Okay, that's true.
That's what I mean. Has Bitcoin changed my life? Yes.
Yeah, so many lives.
Yes, very lives. But it hasn't been massively adopted yet, and we're not able to use, I can't.
And we're not close to that
And
either.
I'm not using it,
You're not?
Not anymore. It's too expensive. That's my biggest gripe right now, is just, I'm not going to buy coffee.
Because Bitcoin fees are too high?
Yeah, it takes too long, and it's kind of a headache right now. But don't get me wrong. My portfolio. I'm into crypto. I have a vast portfolio of all of stuff, and I have the most Bitcoin.
New Hampshire, if you have the most Bitcoin.
I take that back. I didn't mean it like that.
You are Satoshi Nakamoto.
Satoshi is female.
You think so? Could be.
They are.
Who knows? So if you ever get to New Hampshire, you'll need to add a coat to your check bag or your
I do. I have one. I have a fur coat that I also use as a pillow.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. See, you have to be versatile.
You are prepared.
Yeah.
That's good. But we actually have real life Bitcoin and Dash and Bitcoin Cash, and you can actually pay in real life.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. So I have a crypto credit card that you could pay stuff with. So
That's cheating.
Yes.
I have one of those too. But I mean where you actually have your Bitcoin wallet.
Oh, the wallet,
and pay for food, auto repair, dentistry.
Yes.
We've got that in real life. It happens in New Hampshire.
Yes. So don't get me wrong. Yeah. I've used all that. I just don't want to, since the market's been down, I don't want to actually spend anything.
Oh, yeah. That's the other problem.
That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. That's the real problem.
That is a problem with crypto users, is the desire to hold and to not spend the crypto, where, of course, the reality is the reason why crypto is worth something is because you can spend it and because people do spend it on things. So you got to meet these guys from AnyPay. I don't know if you know Derek J. Freeman and Steven Zeiler. They're here, so if I get the chance, I'll introduce you. But they came up with this payment platform called AnyPay, and it's aimed at local merchants who want to accept cryptocurrency for their product or service, and it makes it super easy. It's super smooth, easy to pay with. It's amazingly easy to pay with crypto thanks to these guys. And one of the things they did was they came up with a concept called Dash Back. And they got the Dash Treasury to sponsor this. So with AnyPay, which is their system, you can accept different cryptos as a business owner. So Bitcoin Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and 4 or 5 others. And so, but if you pay with Dash at a business that has Dash Back enabled, and they'll only enable it for a real business, so you can't get this by just signing up on the web and saying, I want Dash Back. So if I pay with Dash for my cup of coffee, within seconds, I'll get 10% back. So I'll get a new transaction into my wallet.
Oh.
10% of that total sale comes back. The business owner who sold me the coffee gets a 10% bonus.
Oh.
So now I've been incentivized to actually spend the cryptocurrency that I have, because I'm getting a better deal if I spend Dash than if I spend dollars or credit card or whatever it is, because I get that instant 10% back. So that's one of those things that has helped people get over that hump of, I just want to hold. I just want to hold it. Because you can always buy more, right? So just buy more what you're intending to spend, and then you don't have to worry about depleting your holdings. So that's the key.
I'm only using the crypto to do larger purchases.
Okay, well, that's good. At least you're using it.
So, yeah.
So that helps.
So that's what I'm saying. To me, it doesn't make sense right now to buy coffee or something small with it, But I travel. I spend crypto to travel.
Like on plane tickets and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so those are much larger.
Fustas, thank you for coming on Free Talk Live with me today. I really appreciate it. It's been great. BlockchainPR.io. Check her out. She's Decentralized Living.
And Serve.io. We just launched, I'm an advisor with Serve, and we just launched our token on...
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco for day number 4 of what's been an amazing event. Beautiful weather the entire time. Great people. Highly recommend you come out to this next year. I hear they are already planning 2020. Go to Anarchapulco.com to learn more about that. We got all kinds of interesting folks, many of whom are the speakers at the event. And, of course, Mark Edge, who's our normal co-host, is inside the Cryptopulco room introducing people there. He's basically the MC of that stage, which means we get the inside scoop on who we should talk to, who has been speaking there. And Paul Sztorc is with us from Truthcoin.info. Paul, Truthcoin, this isn't another cryptocurrency, is it?
No, it's not.
All right, tell me about it. What is Truthcoin?
Yeah, well, Truthcoin is a paper that I wrote a long time ago, and it's also the name of my blog, and I write about Bitcoin there. But this project's actually built as a sidechain of Bitcoin, so it's absolutely not a rival investment in any sense. It's supposed to be 100%
it's riding
Bitcoin.
on Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100% on top of Bitcoin. 100%.
And what is it? What is this project?
Yeah, this is an old idea, actually, that goes back to Hal Finney, at least. In fact, a lot earlier. But it's this idea of these conditional event derivatives and these prediction markets. And
prediction market. That sounds more understandable than conditional event derivative.
Yeah, sure.
So what's a prediction market? I know I've heard of these things before, but we have listeners who are tuning in all the time for the very first time. So imagine somebody's getting in their car, putting the key in the ignition at an airport, and they're hearing you for the first time say prediction market. What is that? How do they understand that?
Well, it refers to a market for a certain type of financial instruments. So we have things like stocks and bonds that you can buy. You could buy a gold ETF. You can buy different things. You could buy Bitcoin. And what you're buying and selling here is something that it pays you if an event happens. And if the event does not happen, then it doesn't pay you. So it's very similar to a wager, but not identical. A wager, usually the odds are fixed at 50-50. And I say, I bet you $20 that, the Patriots will win the Super Bowl or something like that. And it's 20 to the winner, 20 from the loser. And it's just a 50-50 odds. But with this, you have these different assets, and they trade in a market, and the price of those assets is changing all the time.
Okay.
And when the price is high, it basically means that the event is more likely. And when the price is low, it means that it's not very likely. Or it means that everyone in society collectively doesn't find a problem with saying that it's only 8% likely if it trades at 8 cents on the dollar, for example.
And this isn't like speculation. This has been something that you've observed, right? Because prediction markets exist. There are different cryptocurrencies, for instance, who've been doing these things that have offered the ability for people to place these, I don't know if that's the right word, but place these predictions on what's going to happen in the future, whether it be something as simple as a sports game or who wins an election or something like that. And so you're saying that the people's predictions about a thing actually do factor into whether or not that thing occurs? Is that what you're saying?
No. This is just saying you have a token that's worth X amount of it'll pay you $1, say, if Donald Trump wins re-election in 2020. But if he doesn't win re-election in 2020, presidential re-election, then it pays you $0. And then you just look around and you see what are people buying. What is the going rate for this thing? It's worth $1 if Donald Trump wins. So if it's trading at 99 cents, then you know that basically everyone thinks it's a sure thing.
I see. Okay. And so that's an indicator that it will likely happen because you're getting people's opinions about that thing.
It's an aggregation of all of society's knowledge. So you could have...
Or at least everybody who's participating.
Well, really, it includes everyone who could participate. So you could have a prediction market on something totally random, like a coin flip, and it would not be able to tell you which, whether or not a heads is more likely than a tails. It has to aggregate knowledge that exists in society.
So not something random, but something that
it would just
people
be
have an
useless
opinion about.
If it were random, it would just be useless.
Right.
It would just not tell you anything that you didn't already know.
Yeah.
But there are people who do think they know, and you have this process where, like in any other market, where if someone thinks the price is wrong, they can make money by moving in and buying low and selling high.
So you're creating a platform for people to do this? What is it that you're doing?
Yes, the platform allows people to create the different markets and trade in them.
So how does it work as a user? If I'm coming on to, does it exist already or is it coming soon?
Well, it exists in a sort of testnet format.
Okay, so you can't put real money on it
Well,
yet.
yeah, you can put fake crypto.
Okay.
This would be kind of like a
testnet
pre-altcoin type thing, but it is not intentionally not live.
But when this does go live, it'll be for Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, ideally, that's the hope, and it's only there's a soft fork to add sidechains technology that would be required because this is a sidechain. So that would be that's quite a big ask, but nonetheless.
So tell me, as a user, what's the experience going to be like? If I go to the site and if it's
you download the software first, so you have Bitcoin and you'd send Bitcoin to this new piece of software. That's the sidechain idea that lets sidechains let you send Bitcoin to different pieces of software.
Yep.
So you'd send money to this piece of software, you deposit to it, and then
that loads up your account. Basically,
money would show up over there.
Okay.
And this is a new piece of software, so it's similar to an altcoin in that respect, which is that it's a completely different piece of software. Then from there, you'd have to either decide if you wanted to spend money to create a market that didn't exist, or if you wanted to buy or sell in one that already existed.
Okay. And so that would be like predicting a sporting event or some other thing that might happen in the future.
Yes.
You could create that. Now, who is the arbiter of whether or not that thing has occurred?
Yeah. Well, that's a little complicated. There's a white paper that describes this, and it was reviewed by a number of people, including Andrew Polstra and Peter Todd, and they both seem to think it was at least reasonable, which is a pretty high bar. I don't know if anyone in the audience is that interested in going through those details. The talk I just gave was actually independent of any specific project. It just said whoever succeeds, this is what we would do with this type of thing once we had it. So the talk I gave was not really about even my project, even though I'm very confident that it is the best of it.
Okay.
In fact, the paper that I wrote spawned basically all the other rival projects.
Really?
Yeah. So
because I've heard of some of the other ones. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but I know these sites exist where you can do these things. I mean, I don't want you to have to get into a bunch of technical detail, but I mean, if you're the creator of the question of will Donald Trump win?
You are not the guy who
throws
resolves
the switch.
Okay, so since you're very curious, there is a second token. It is not a utility token, and there's no like ICO or anything like that. The second token is sort of like Bitcoin mining, where if you use Bitcoin, you do not need to be a miner or know anything about mining.
Yeah.
With this, there's like another employee layer, and the employees are resolving these outcomes, and they own the second token. So you only own the second token if you want to get into this line of work, the same way you'd only own ASIC miner if you wanted to get into this line of work. And this second token is like a fixed amount, and it forms a kind of abstract corporation. So the more of it you own, the more kind of influence you have in deciding what's happening. And I force everyone who owns this token to report on every event that people asked a question about within a long period of time. So it's once every 3 months or so.
So they have to weigh in on every single thing?
Yeah, they submit like a kind of ballot with all of their answers, and then those answers are all cross-compared with each other.
And so,
presumably,
if there's enough inputs, you'll get the truth out of the people participating?
Well, the issue is that then what happens is, unless it's unanimous, which ideally it's set up so that everyone will unanimously report the exact same thing for all the outcomes. But if it's not, whoever is the most deviant suffers tremendously. Their shares are taken away from them and given to other people. So you never want to be the most deviant, and that is this kind of idea. It's kind of like an enforcement thing where you're chasing people around with like a hammer or something, and you're saying anyone who steps out of line, and just an inch, they get hammered out.
Dishonesty is
so
punished
wants
in that case.
To be just leaving the herd.
Yeah,
and from there, the statistical technique I used, it makes it very easy to tell whether or not someone's way off. It can't really tell the truth, but it can tell whether or not it can clump people's totally different points of view. So if someone, it'll be very easy to tell if there's any disagreement. That some people think like up is down completely. They have everything exactly backwards, and other people have everything exactly correct. So it'll be very easy for you to audit because you'll have it'll be the case that anything that you know about it will be the opposite of what happened. So it's designed to make it very, very, very easy too. So, but again, this is like the paper that I wrote is long, and
I think you've done a good job. I mean, having no idea really how all this works, and only having a basic concept of a prediction market. I think you explained that.
I have to say something else, which is that I didn't understand Bitcoin at all when it was explained to me. But then once you use it, it's easier to understand. So I would actually ask people to just
go to Truthcoin.info,
turn it on, and play around with it if you are that interested. And otherwise, don't. Your time is valuable, and this is a complicated thing.
Paul Sztorc, I know your time's valuable. Thanks for coming on Free Talk Live. His website, Truthcoin.info. There's more coming up here. This is Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019. Great event, beautiful weather. I mean, you can't say anything bad. At least, maybe somebody could, but I can't say anything bad about this event. And that's not because they're paying us to, because they're not paying us to be here. They did, cover our hotel rooms and airfare, but we're actually, beyond that, we're here because we really love this event. And it's been a lot of fun coming here for the last 3 years. This is my third year. Cassi Konopasek, did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Is with us from Vault, or with me, because Mark's still doing his crypto stage wrangling thing, of vaultlogic.com. Normally, we've got Doug Scribner on with us, and I guess he couldn't make it this year, and so you are kind of sitting in his stead, and I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Or today. It's actually still the morning, I think, or just beginning the afternoon here on what is technically day number 3, but listeners will hear this on day number 4. So, Vault Logic, we've talked with Doug Scribner. For listeners that maybe have been listening for a while, they might remember a little bit about it. But we always have new listeners tuning in every single night here on Free Talk Live. So, presuming that somebody's listening for the very first time, what is Vault Logic?
So we've created the first legacy ATM and multi-cryptocurrency Bitcoin ATM in one multi-service platforms. Like, we have one ATM that does
it all.
Everything. It does everything. It's also a platform that will allow for third-party cash apps to be hosted on the ATM. So that allows us to really be prepared for a lot of future innovation and evolution in the ATM space.
When you say a third-party cash app, can you give me an example of what that means?
Sure. So we can do point-of-sale type apps. One of the examples that we have is an Overstock app, and we have...
So you can go shopping from the machine? Is that what you're saying?
Right. It can be a point of sale, or just cash apps that you would maybe use for, your services, such as with your bank card, too.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Vault Logic has a machine. It's amazing nobody had done this yet, right? Because there's always been the ATM that you put your debit card in, you pull cash out. That's what everybody thinks of when they think of ATM. We like to call the Bitcoin ATMs Bitcoin vending machines in Keene and in New Hampshire, because it's not exactly an ATM. A Bitcoin vending machine sells you Bitcoin. You're not accessing an account. Mm-hmm. It's not a teller, right? Like, it's not an automated teller. It's just a machine that sells you a thing, like a candy machine or a soda machine or something like that. So you've combined both of those things into one, meaning you can go in, use your debit card, and buy Bitcoin with that?
So what you can do is you can use your debit card to access cash.
Yep.
And then you can put the cash in to purchase Bitcoin.
So you have to take the cash out first and then put it back in?
Right. The businesses are separate because there's 2 separate vaults that allow this to happen. But what that allows is that we're over 61% of Bitcoin ATMs are actually one direction. So you can either buy or you can sell.
Right.
So you're able to buy and sell. Plus, you're able to sell, and instantly when you get that cash, you can go ahead and put it back into the ATM side, or load a card, a gift card, or cell phone top-offs. So it's making it more, it's actually bringing the utility to the cryptocurrency and making it available with cash on demand.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really neat concept, and I'd figured it was still being developed because I've never actually seen the Vault Logic device. But you told me not only is it available now in Vegas, but you're working on version number 2.
Yes, so we have 10 beta units, and we have Atlanta, Minnesota, Las Vegas, Colorado. So they're distributed. We have next week we have 10 F400s coming out. So that's our next version. It has new basically, biometrics. So we've enhanced that for KYC compliance, which is necessary for higher amounts of purchasing.
It's annoying, but you got to do it, I guess.
Right. But we've also approved, we have the ad screen. There's several upgrades that we've made.
What's an ad screen? Is that you can advertise on the device?
So we can. That's actually. So this is a revenue stream. The VaultLogic Smart ATM, as we call it, is a revenue stream generator for anyone distributing them or hosting them, because you can share in the revenue share from these transaction fees.
So when you say hosting, you mean like the business that is housing that location or whatever?
Yes. So if you bring in local or national ads that want to be hosted on the screen, that's actually a revenue source.
Sure.
And it's also a great way for crypto communities to promote their cryptocurrency that they would like to have people be more aware about as well.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Yes.
So what's next for besides the F400? Is it going to expand beyond Vegas, beyond these other markets?
Yes. So we actually have one of the first F400s is in Orlando, Florida, at a vinyl bar, which is Jason King's.
Bar?
It's called Vinyl. That's the name of the bar, and it's Jason King's bar.
Yeah. I know he's a crypto guy.
Yes. So he hosts meetups there. He has our first F400 there.
Neat.
So we'll definitely continue to expand more in Las Vegas. These will be going into Simon Malls, which is very exciting.
Wow.
Because that's a big foot traffic, especially like the Caesars crystal shops.
Yeah,
yep,
okay.
That's a big one.
Okay, so how would somebody who has let's say, I presume most of the locations are people who are into cryptocurrency, but not necessarily?
Not necessarily.
Somebody who just needs an ATM and they want to have the baddest ass ATM they can possibly get.
Yeah, because you can have the ATM side turned on or off.
Yep.
And then just be running the Bitcoin or multi-crypto, because we have 8 different cryptocurrencies on there right now with the capacity to add any ERC20 or, we're very agnostic to offering.
Is it like the big ones like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash,
Dash, Ethereum, but then we also have Ravencoin.
Oh, okay,
which is, definitely gaining traction, and people are very excited about it.
Neat.
Yes. And then we have 2Give and Tokes. Tokes is a big one that will allow for people to actually... They can purchase Tokes and purchase cannabis products with Tokes, and there's a platform and app for people to use, too, that has a phenomenal user experience.
Amazing.
So you should definitely check that out, too.
All right, so if somebody were interested, now obviously this is a very small portion of our audience here, but if somebody were interested in acquiring one of these machines, does VaultLogic own all the machines, or do you sell the machines to a person who then places it in a business, or to the business owner who wants it in their business? Like, how does that work? How do you get your locations?
So currently our model is a lease model. So there's a lease deposit. It's a one-time lease deposit that at any point in time, if, after the first year, if you decide that you aren't interested, then it's a refundable deposit. But basically, it's a lease deposit, and what that gives you access to is that we handle all the crypto liquidity and the cash liquidity.
Oh, wow.
And servicing and maintenance. So the idea is to get them really well distributed and take out some of the barriers to entry.
So you'll send a delivery man over with this monster machine?
Yes.
Like, how big is this thing?
It's 600 pounds. It's a 600-pound iPhone. That's what we call it, because that's the user experience that we've tried to embody.
Yeah. So you'll actually send somebody to install this thing?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Because having had to deal with a 500-pound Bitcoin vending machine recently, it was a nightmare.
Yes.
It would be very helpful to have professional movers handle something like that.
Yes, our goal is to provide a fast, secure, and frictionless experience for people to access crypto, and also be able to participate in the ATM, BTM marketplace without all the headache while still generate revenue. And
that is so cool.
So it's a really cool model. It allows us to actually engage with other ATM or BTM networks and ATM networks too, because we are a cash management solution with our vaulting technology.
Yeah, I know Doug had told us previously about incentivizing just average people to move money from one VaultLogic unit to another unit, and he'd explained how that worked, and I can't really re-explain it, but I bet you could.
Absolutely. So basically, members, they download the app. The app is going to tell individuals to go to a certain ATM if it's getting high or low on cash, and this can be on the ATM side or the BTM side, and incentivize them to take cash out or put cash in. And you can do that by either adjusting the fees on the cryptocurrency or or making it so that if you wanted to take out $5, maybe you take out $7, just for example, because the whole concept is that a big bottleneck in just this industry in general is moving the cash, making sure that the machines are online and they're available for people, because I've been to plenty of them, and it's not a good experience when you just made time out of your day and you're like, I'm going to go get this purchase done, and they're offline,
sold out.
Yep. Yes. So we are working to eliminate that and really improve. I think with the blockchain technology, any project, gamification is incredibly important, because you need to build a network of people that are promoting your network and they're using it. And so this is a good way to do it.
Very cool. So if you want to learn more, the best place to go would be vaultlogic.com.
Yes, right? Yes. And so we are currently we've launched an STO. That's another way that we are expanding our network and giving basically dividends on those crypto transaction fees to our investors. So we have a multitude of ways that we're very it's a primary focus for us to build a strong network and really make crypto accessible to everyone.
Thank you for doing that, because it's important work. Cassi, Konopasek, vaultlogic.com. Thanks for coming on Free Talk Live.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. There's more coming up here.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global. Drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live at day number 4, Anarchapulco 2019, and just talking to all kinds of interesting folks here as the days go on. It's been a great event, and it's fantastic. Anarchapulco.com. You can go there, learn more about that, and you can learn more about Free Talk Live if you're new to the show over at freetalklive.com. There's so much to talk about, and so little time, and so many great guests that are, we can't talk to everybody here. But, Joe, you came up and introduced yourself, and Joe Baker is with me here from remedycoin.com. And as soon as you said you're designing a cryptocurrency for forgiveness, I'm like, I want to hear all about that. I don't know if that's exactly what you said, but that was my interpretation of it. I said, I want to know all about that, because I love forgiveness. I think it's such an important thing for people to practice in their lives. So is it a crypto? Did I say that right? Tell me what I got wrong. What is Remedy Coin?
So what we do is we provide a means to create a forgiveness contract.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're taking the value of the damage becomes the value of the forgiveness. And then we attach that as an asset to a cryptocurrency. We use the BitShares blockchain.
Okay.
So it becomes an asset on BitShares. It's tradable on their distributed exchange. So they've got like 2,000 different assets on there, or more. And
all right, so let's give an example of this. I'm a landlord. Tenants trash the house. It's $4,000 worth of damage.
Sure. Your landlord is $4,000. All right, so you send a notice to the tenant.
Yep.
You say, look, you damaged this stuff. It's going to cost me all this money to do. There's going to be a little bit more for collections on this, all this kind of stuff. To be able to achieve remedy, I need to. But I want to forgive you, and I'm willing to forgive you as long as you don't object to us creating a financial instrument that bears the value of this forgiveness. So then what we do is we give it to the market, because what the market needs is meaning. It needs containers of wealth. Think of women that are carrying around purses and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It means a lot to them what they put their belongings inside.
Sure.
And so in this way, you might put your worth into a dollar bill, and you compare that and say, would you rather have your money in a dollar bill or something that actually bared a story about forgiveness? And it actually comes out of there. So this all comes out of the person's infinite personal worth. The philosophers have told us that in the past. And So when you're damaged, the landlord in this case is out money. He's got property that's not whole anymore.
Right.
You know, and
somebody's got to clean it up, and it's not going to be the tenant.
Right. Well, and this isn't perfect, but
no.
But the the problems, the issues with the heart, and carrying a grudge, all this kind of stuff, is another cost. So
sure.
we can alleviate that part of it, and create this financial instrument, and then it's all going to be a question of what the world does, what the world does with forgiveness-based money, and whether they accept it or not. But we have, crypto marketplaces where we can pretty much derive the value of anything, on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week time
sure. period.
And we've got tools like the DexBot to help with market making and provide liquidity back into the market when someone wants to sell or use their crypto for buying things. It's getting very exciting. There's a company down here called Palm Pay, and they interface with the BitShares network. And for them, it would be just a couple hours for them to add these remedy coins onto their platform, so merchants could be able to accept it and settle to not just so they take remedy coin, but it settles through the distributed exchange to whatever currency they want in the transaction. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if you've met the guys from PalmPay.
No, I'm not familiar with that. But to go back to the example, because I'm still a little lost here. So damage is done. You create a financial instrument, as you said,
yep.
in relation to the amount that was incurred, and then you do what with it? I'm still not clear on that.
Then you do an ICO, basically,
an initial coin offering.
Yeah, so it goes to market.
Yeah,
but already once that contract goes into effect because of a default, you feel very different. It's like, aha. They're admitting they did the deed. They're respecting the value that I place on it, and I'm able to go to market with a coin.
So it requires the other person's agreement?
Yes,
because generally forgiveness doesn't require that, right? So as an individual, when I forgive somebody, I don't have to tell them about it. I don't have to ask for their permission. I just do it because it relieves the burden from me. Forgiveness for me is all about the person who's forgiving. You don't want to carry that burden around because it doesn't hurt the other person. It doesn't, for you to be angry or hateful or whatever or hold a grudge, doesn't benefit you, and it certainly doesn't hurt them. So for me, forgiveness has always been a personal thing. I've never required somebody or even went to them and asked them if it was okay if I'd forgive them. So for me, it sounds strange. What am I missing here?
Well, we're creating a contract between the parties.
Okay.
And so we need
I already had one. It was
consent.
the lease.
Huh?
I already had one. It was the lease in this case. So you're asking for another contract.
Yeah.
Regarding the debt.
And in fact, we might, if the landlord might include this in the lease contract, the ability to forgive a debt owed in this way, in this special remedy coin approach. Because some people don't want to be forgiven. I've got a guy down here, he borrowed $300 for a plane flight, told me he had a job offer, he was going to go, he'd be able to pay me back right away. And I offered to forgive him with remedy coin, and he objected. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to be associated with a contract on the internet that bared his name that, would have this.
I suspect
this
a lot of people won't consent to that. But if somebody does, then what does that mean? So they've agreed to the terms of this agreement to put this coin out there into a marketplace, and then what happens then?
Well, I think the important thing is that the entanglement of the heart, the mind, in terms of the controversy, gets relieved, and then you put an open order on the distributed exchange to sell the tokens at a price that you want, and you put another order in to buy them back. That's what I'm doing with the Remedy.Destinia coin. There's orders out on the exchange right now. People could buy them and sell them without any intervention from me. It's just a tiny little spread in the price. So you wait for it to go. So the idea would be Remedy Coin would have a newsletter that goes out and indicates, hey, here's some new assets that have just come up on the market, and so we're building this.
And these are unique.
Infinite.
These assets are somehow unique.
Each one is unique.
You're specifically saying, I want that thing, I want that contract or that bit of forgiveness. I don't want, like Bitcoin's fungible, right? Like, whatever, Bitcoin's all the same. It doesn't matter which one's which. So
what I'm looking for is in the future for there to be a sort of an extra layer, right, where you can pick like a hedge fund, like a distributed hedge fund that allows you to buy into numerous assets. And then and sell and move in and out that way. So I think that's going to happen. There's so many coins on the market.
Sure,
there's going to have to be a point where something like that is invented and put out there. Might be there already. Some people have pointed me at some things. I haven't had time to look at them. This all goes back to an instance that happened to me 9 years ago in California when the police were trying to kill me in Bakersfield.
Yeah, sounds like something you would do.
And I haven't been able to get remedies. So this is inspired by trying to address tyrannical institutions.
Sure.
So I'm preparing a forgiveness contract for Bakersfield, California.
Yeah.
And the police and the hospitals and all this kind of stuff. And it could end up being the world's largest financial instrument.
Well, it's an interesting theory. I'm interested to hear, if you're here next year, we'll see how it's panning out for you, Joe. Joe Baker from RemedyCoin.com. Thank you for coming on Free Talk Live and joining me here today from Anarchapulco. It's Free Talk Live, Anarchapulco 2019, interviewing all manner of different interesting attendees and speakers and such. There's so many stages, there's no way we could do it all. We may end up actually going over as far as the amount of interviews we have. That's actually what happened to us last year. We ended up having like almost a whole extra show because we just ended up doing like day number 5 on Anarchapulco, so we may end up doing that here in this case. On day number 4 right now, although we're getting close to wrapping this out for the weekend, we've got David Cassi from newmundo.org. It's NUMUNDO, newmundo.org. David, welcome to Free Talk Live.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on here today. You're going to be one of the speakers at the conference. You've yet to speak at this point. You've got New Mundo. I don't know what it is. Neither do our listeners, most of them probably. So what is it?
Yeah, so New Mundo is like an Airbnb for spaces where you can learn how to live outside of this system. And what I mean specifically is learn how to grow your own food, learn how to produce your own energy, learn how to filter your own water, and really live in spaces that are working to create a different economy that's based on sovereignty, based on autonomy, and based on humans' own ability to meet our own needs without dependence on outside systems, on centralized systems.
I think a lot of our listeners love a lot of those words: sovereignty, independence, not having to rely on people. But of course we have to have others help us. That's what New Mundo is about, right? Is learning from others to be more independent. And so these are like living spaces with an educational aspect to them of like teaching people things?
Exactly. So a lot of them are focused on sustainability education, permaculture, organic farming. each space is unique and different. We have more than 700 spaces in our network
already
in about 100 countries.
Cool. So this isn't brand new. How long has this been around?
It's been around for about 4 years.
Oh, cool.
Slowly growing. We just integrated cryptocurrency payments, so you can basically travel the world entirely on crypto and live and work, or live and learn, and eat and sleep and meet your basic needs with crypto.
Right on. So this is for people who specifically want to kind of increase their knowledge about living, right? And how to live independently.
It's for anyone really looking for a different way to live. A lot of our spaces are outside of cities, so for people looking to live closer to nature, and also people to live more in community, more with like-minded people, more with people that share values.
Instead of just some random person with a house on Airbnb or something like that.
Exactly. So if you want to go and live with a lot of people that, eat healthy, wake up in the morning, meditate and do yoga or whatever.
Those people are there.
Yeah, you can find that kind of space and get really deep into that kind of lifestyle.
Cool. And what's a typical experience? You download an app to a phone? Like, what does the user do? Or is it through a website?
It's a website platform like Airbnb. We don't have a standalone app, so it's basically the website, newmundo.org.
Create an account.
You don't have to. You can just browse and look at spaces. To actually book, you have to create an account, which is pretty fast and easy. And you can search the world by your interest, by geography.
Neat. And so if you are, so you're doing other payment methods besides cryptos, get credit card and things like that?
All that, yeah.
Is cash a possibility, or is that not possible?
Yeah, so we integrate a payment method, which basically, a lot of online merchants do this, where you take 10% up front, which is the platform commission, and then the other 90% people pay on site when they get there.
Okay, I see. And so is there a rating system as well for bad tenants and that kind of thing?
There's a review system right now, and then ratings are something we're building on both sides for the hosts and the visitors.
Right on. Okay. So if I go onto this site and I'm interested in learning how to do, what was it, permaculture you said? What is that? Can you define what that is?
Yeah, permaculture is it's a new term for something that's really ancient, and it's really about how do we make a permanent culture, or something that is able to sustain humans permanently without outside input. So it's really about building kind of like closed-loop systems that are regenerative, so that are like increasing the production of whatever our basic needs are, whether they're food, medicine, fuel, timber, etc. So it's really about like designing systems
for sustainability.
Yeah, basically. For long-term sustainability and independence of outside inputs. Like the more a permaculture system grows, the more resilient it is, the more diverse it is.
What was it that take me back to 4 years ago or beyond? How did you get started on this project? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, so I went to school for something called Political Economy of Industrial Societies, or how can we combine the state and business to quickly industrialize countries towards a modern industrial nation state. And I was kind of turned off by that approach to modernization, because I thought, what is our end goal here if we're creating societies where there are all sorts of problems with, addiction, depression, suicide, crime, etc.? And maybe there's another way. So I started to explore alternative kind of experiments in economics, like little experiments all around the world where people would just leave the cities, create their own realities, and see what happened. And so really what New Mundo is about on a deeper level is exploring other ways where humans can come together and exist peacefully and create little systems that we can experiment with and see what could the future look like of humans living together.
And so you thought, all right, I want to create this website, make this happen. Did you have to, did you do it all on your own, or did you bring a team together, or did that sort of come together on its own? Like, did the universe just kind of provide those things?
Yeah,
for you?
There's a few ways to answer that. But first, I had a lot of people asking me questions of like, where
do I go?
Where can I find these places? So I threw up a basic list at first, just like after the 200th person asked me, I just made a basic website. I'm not really a programmer, but I figured it out, and then slowly I found people, built a team, and found other people that really shared the same vision. And also saw the need for such a tool.
And so how's the reaction been? I mean, you said you have 700
locations, yeah.
Globally?
Globally.
So give me an example of in the United States, how many of them are in the U.S.?
In the U.S., probably around 100. I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but that's my guess.
Is it heavily distributed in the South, the North, Northeast? I mean, are there certain areas where there's almost nothing, like South Dakota? I mean, how many states is it in? What's the distribution?
That's a great question. It's pretty distributed.
Okay.
I would probably half the states.
Not bad. So anybody can go to newmundo.org to get a feel for what this is all about. Then,
completely,
right?
Yeah. Awesome. And it's really like for people that are looking to be a part of creating a new system.
Very cool. That's David Cassi, New Mundo. Is this your first year at Anarchapulco?
First year at Anarchapulco, but I actually co-produced a conference out in Portugal that was a fork of this one called Anarchaportugal.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
This is Free Talk Live at Anarchapulco 2019. The event still going strong here because, it's actually still Saturday as we're recording this, but you're hearing it on Sunday. We've just been so busy talking to people. And then today I got interviewed by a couple of different groups, and it's been great. So lots of good folks to meet here at Anarchapulco. And from what I understand, they are planning Anarchapulco 2020. So you can, of course, join us online anytime over at freetalklive.com. And as I say, lots of folks to talk to. Now, Mark has talked to my next guest, but I have not yet. Chris Karabats is with us, a.k.a. Zaphoid. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Ian. How's it going today?
Or do you prefer Zaphoid?
You can call me whichever. I hang out with a lot of Chris's, so Zaphoid usually how it works out.
Yeah, Zaphoid is definitely going to keep you outstanding. So we're going to stay there. Smartcash.cc, sponsor of Free Talk Live. Thank you guys for doing that, or rather, thank you to the Smartcash community.
Yes, sir. It was all their choice.
Right, because anybody can make a proposal to the Smartcash community for a very small amount of Smartcash. And then the community gets to vote on it over about a 2-week time frame?
We give it a 2-week period. It seems long enough. It doesn't drag on.
Yeah, so for those that aren't familiar, of course, Smartcash is another cryptocurrency. There are thousands of these things out there.
2 billion.
So, really?
I'm sorry, there are 2 billion Smartcash. There are
I'm like, wait a minute. That's a lot of cryptos.
No, I think
where did you get that number?
3,500 different crypto last I checked CoinGecko.
Okay. Yeah, and so that probably doesn't even list them all. There's probably really small ones that exist as well. So maybe 1,000, a few thousand more. Who knows? There's a lot of them out there. So what is it that makes Smartcash different? We always said, because, and we believed it, right? Like we wouldn't come on with Smartcash if we weren't interested in Smartcash. I actually purchased Smartcash in advance of even making a proposal to Smartcash because I saw you guys getting behind a bunch of liberty-oriented shows. Mm-hmm. You're on Roger Paxton's show, the Lava Flow podcast.
Yep.
You were on Ben Swan. You were sponsoring Adam Kokesh. It's like, I just see Smartcash everywhere. There's got to be some libertarians involved in this thing.
Was
I right about
that?
that?
Yes.
Now, when did you get involved?
I got involved I first joined the team actually about a year ago today-ish.
Really? Congrats.
Yeah.
Was it at this event a year ago?
Well, I was going to come to the event, but then I quit my job to do this, and I had to stay home to train my replacement, so I couldn't show up last year.
So this is your first.
This is my first Anarchapulco.
Anarchapulco. Excellent. So you joined the Smartcash team, but what was it? I mean, again, there's thousands of cryptos out there, so was there one thing or two things or whatever that made you think this is special?
Well, what Smartcash is pushing for is to actually be a cryptocurrency. As I always like to say, we're trying to put the currency back in cryptocurrency. Okay. All the other cryptos out there, I mean, I'm not... All the other cryptos out there, they seem to be focused on other things and just take the currency aspect as assumed, and all their workflow sucks. For in-person payments, if I want to buy from my local 7-Eleven, it absolutely sucks. So,
sure.
Just yesterday, somebody at the local Verde Vegan restaurant was trying to pay with Bitcoin Cash and accidentally converted it to euros instead of Mexican pesos when he paid and sent, 2.5 Bitcoin Cash instead of...
Whoa!
Yeah. So, whoops. I mean, fortunately, it's a good merchant. They sent it right back. But still, that... And this guy's a guy who's familiar and knows about cryptocurrency as opposed to your mom who might have no clue about it.
But wait a minute, aren't they using AnyPay over at Verde Vegan?
They actually just started.
Well, was it? But wait, did your friend get the mess up before they started with AnyPay or after? Because with AnyPay, you're just punching in an amount in Mexican pesos and it converts it to whichever crypto they want. So there's no way, unless the cashier screwed up the entry.
It's possible the cashier screwed up the entry. The AnyPay was sitting right there.
Yeah.
I just came in while they were trying to fix the problem.
Gotcha.
So, but with one of our solutions is the Smart Card. And that has a workflow that is exactly the same as you're used to with your debit card, but it's entirely crypto to crypto. It's not on the legacy MasterCard or Visa networks at all. It is entirely on-chain, and any accepting merchant, you just go with your card. You don't even need your phone. They scan your card. You put in your PIN. Bam, they have an approved transaction in about a second and a half.
So you were telling me about this the other day, I think, and the Smart Card is PIN authorized access to your crypto, which is kind of different. I mean, I guess it's not really that different. A lot of wallets have a PIN code before you get into it, right?
Yeah,
so
same thing.
Kind of the same thing. But like you said, you don't actually have to have the smartphone. You don't have to have a device with you to use this. And that, I don't think, has ever been done before with cryptocurrency.
We're still the only one who has anything like it. We found this is very useful in areas where the internet connectivity is poor and your phone may not have a good connection. So we've had some success with this in Africa where the merchant has a decent connection, but the actual customer with their phone may or may not.
That happens in New Hampshire, too, all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michigan, too. It's the same thing wherever you are. So this is a workflow where you don't need to worry about whether or not your phone has connectivity to actually be able to spend your crypto. Also, if your phone battery is dead or, if you were swimming.
Sure, there's all kinds of things that happen. There's all kinds of things. Or, you're just on the edge of the signal. There's this one place in Keene where you could go out the front door, and then you'd have enough signal. Or if you swung the front door open for long enough, there might be enough signal that came in. But you couldn't actually do it from the register. So you had to sometimes walk outside, hit send outside, and then walk back in, and it would actually work.
And again, try to convince people to do that workflow for adoption. I mean, that's just not going to happen. Yeah. So this is us trying to meet people where they are in a secure, usable way.
All right. So here's a question, though, about that. If you're handing me the smart card, you or somebody at Smart Cash at the corporate or division has printed this card out, which means you've got access to the private key, right?
Well, there's a couple different ways about that.
Okay.
Actually, we don't generate any cards for anybody. The card and the private key are only shared upon creation of the card, and from that point forward, the private key is only on the card or hopefully where you have backed it up as well.
So how does one get their own card? Because, I just got one here, and it wasn't me that, made that happen.
Yes.
So what is the normal process for this?
Normal process is people go to card.smartcash.cc, and they create an account, and then they can create their card. And from there, they can just print it out and laminate it. That's the easiest way to actually use it.
I see.
You could actually add it to your Apple or Android wallet. I think that kind of defeats the purpose, but you can do that if you want.
Huh.
And then there is a site out there that links to from that site where you can actually go and they will print the card off for you. But you're not giving them your private key, you're giving them your encrypted private key. So they don't actually know what your unencrypted private key is. There's still
and they don't know your PIN.
And they don't know your PIN. And your PIN you can change at any point, too.
Okay. All right. Very cool. I think that's pretty cool. I hope I get the chance to actually get over there and try it out because it's neat technology and it helps, like you're saying, bridge the gap, bridge the worlds between the old and the new, because that's the tough thing. It's one of the things we do in the Keene, New Hampshire area is try to introduce people to cryptocurrency. And having an extra tool like that could be very, very useful.
Yeah, and it just makes it easy. You can hand this card to somebody, tell them what their PIN is, and chances are they could just use it.
Without having to have a hand-holding instruction tour of hour-long seminar or something like that.
I've handed out a little bit over 200 of these so far, and everybody just knows what to do. The only issue I had is when somebody just took it out and didn't even look at the paper inside, so didn't know their PIN.
Okay, yep. That'll do it. User error.
Yep, but everything else, everybody just uses it, and it's good, whether or not this is their first crypto they use or their 100th. It's awesome.
So you signed on for this thing. It's been a year. What's your current role with Smartcash?
Technically, I'm in the support hive. So that means I help with some of the back-end stuff, web servers. I help people on Discord. That's where most people who know me is from Discord. I spend a lot of time people there helping them with their wallets, with their nodes, whatever.
Somebody new comes in, they got a question, you're the guy there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I also end up going to these events simply because I am a relatively huge libertarian.
Oh, good.
When I first joined the team, actually, a year ago, they said, so do you want to represent us at events? I said, no, I've been in a server room for 12 years. I don't want to get out in front of people. And then Libertopia happened, and they sent me down to Libertopia. I presented there, and I've been at about a dozen events since.
Cool.
And
Congrats.
apparently now I talk to people.
All right. Well, and you're doing a great job, I got to say. It's good to know Libertopia is still going on. We actually went to the very first Libertopia, however many years ago that was now.
That was a few.
A bunch of years, yeah. It's
Thanks
not
for making
quite
me
10,
feel
but
old.
I don't know if it's 10, but it's close. Like, it's probably 8 or something like that.
At least, yeah. They were off for a few years. This is the first year back.
They came back. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's a Liberty conference, for those that don't know, that's out in California.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Yep.
Smartcash.cc. You can go there. One of the things I like about it, and as somebody who also has promoted Dash in the past, which is also another kind of, we want to be a real-life crypto kind of crypto, there's some significant differences between Smartcash and Dash, and that give, I think, Smartcash the advantage in that you can vote in the Smartcash voting system even if you've just got a smart, one of them.
Correct.
Like, you can cast your vote, and one smart right now is what, less than a penny?
Yeah, it's about 0.92 cents.
Yeah, so this is in the range of anybody who wants to get into it.
Yeah.
And so you can cast your vote. One smart is one vote, so you've got a bunch of smart, you got a bunch of votes, and it's pretty cool stuff. Smartcash.cc. Zaphoid, thanks for coming on Free Talk
Thanks
Live.
for having me.
Really
Ian.
appreciate it. We got more coming up. This is Anarchapulco. It's Free Talk Live, Anarchapulco 2019, and it has been just wall-to-wall with good folks. The vibe in this event has been basically the same. It feels like we just picked up the next day. It feels like it's 2018 where it just kept going, where like more people have come this year, and at least to me it feels the same way. Although, Jeff Berwick, welcome to Free Talk Live. You pointed out there weren't as many hippies this year. You mentioned that last night, the party.
Yeah, a few things changed. We definitely have new management and all that, and I hope a lot of people kind of saw and appreciated that it's a lot more professionally run this year.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I didn't have to do a lot, which I really like.
This is really great.
Bonus.
Yeah.
I ran, I was the MC for the Cryptopolco room, and my gal, Brenda, who was really the room manager, right? I'm just, like the paid dog that goes and dances on stage. No, nothing going on there. She was fantastic.
Except you didn't get paid.
No, I don't. Well, they gave me a little budget.
That's true. You did get a budget. That's
I get
right.
a drink.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
And Jeff's paying for it.
I was just so happy that, there's so many great people, and really shout out to all of them. I don't even know a lot of their names. There are a lot of new people. But I did notice, because last year we had a girl, and I'm going to give her a shout out, Abby Esther. She was involved last year, and she somehow got like 300, 400, 500 hippies all doing like rain dances and drum circles.
Yeah, that was great.
And there's not as many of that this year.
Not quite as much of that. There are plenty of hippies.
There is, but not like last year. And I want to bring that back a little bit. That's the only thing I kind of miss. But otherwise,
you need a discount for hippies.
I like a good drum. I like a good drum circle.
Drum circle is great. A fire dancer,
some
that's fun.
Yeah, fire dancers are fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. It's been such a wonderful
belly
event.
dancing.
How do we do as far as numbers go?
I heard. Jessica stopped by earlier.
Okay, awesome.
She said about 2,500 are here.
Great.
Which is more than last year.
I have to laugh because I remember being here last year, and I was like, I think it's 1,200, and then the numbers just kept going up.
No, it was 17 last year, wasn't it?
It went high. I heard 18 at the highest.
Wow.
And I'm like, who's getting these numbers? I should be the one who at least gets these before anyone else.
You're pointing out the reality of running an event is we have no idea how many people are here, but it doesn't seem like a lie to say there's 2,500.
It's definitely over 2,000. I'll say that for sure because I've seen numbers on that. And so basically double last year. And in a down crypto market, I think we're doing pretty good.
We're in the midst of crypto winter right now, and I'm running the Cryptopolco stage, and I've had incidents where it's been standing room only in my event. I mean, and these people are basically just saying, hold your crypto. It's coming back. There will be another bull run. Hold, hold, hold. And I see lots of reasons why I think they're right from the things they've said.
There's still room for growth, though, here, I would say.
Oh, no one has any idea. If Bitcoin didn't hit 3,500, if it just went to 6,000, because I remember it was about a few months ago, and then as soon as it started going down from 6,000 to 3,500, I got so many messages, I want to go so bad, but I'm hurting financially.
Sure.
If it was just around 6,000, we would have had we'd have 3,000 this year. I've said this, and I'll say it again. If we can see Bitcoin even go to 5,000 or 6,000 in the next 6 months, we'll have 5,000 people next year. I guarantee it.
Can this venue support that?
I believe it can.
Okay.
But the plan is, because it's going to double every year after this too, we're eventually going to take over essentially the whole town.
Well,
it's optimistic.
Mundo Imperial does own several resorts around here.
That's
and
true.
You can.
We can do it.
The whole town is certainly
not the entire town. Okay,
optimistic.
Let me clarify.
Their resort
numerous
properties?
hotels full of anarchists.
Okay, yeah, you can do
to
that.
the point where you're like, it seems like the whole city is full of anarchists.
Yeah. Right. I may know.
We will get there.
Yeah, I may know 24 listeners and just people from the event circuit here at this event, which is to say that 2,537 I don't know. And that means that there are a lot of people that could come that I know, and there must be multiple factors beyond that I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a great event. I mean, as I think I pointed out to you last year, I wrote an article at freekeen.com saying this event, as of last year, had taken the crown, if you will, for the must-attend Liberty event of the year. If there's only one event you can attend, make it Anarchapulco.
And, I so appreciate that because I know how involved you're in with the Free State Project. And I'm a huge supporter of the Free State Project. Yeah. And for the first time, we had someone who's involved with the Free State Project.
That's right. He's going to be on shortly.
Speaking. I actually wanted Carla, but she turned it down for whatever reason. I'm not sure. But I support the Free State Project. But to have you say that was so like, wow, thank you so much.
It's true. I mean, I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. You don't pay me to come here. You guys cover our hotel room. You cover our...
Thank you.
And, thank you for that.
Bought us some margaritas this year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, we come here because we love this event. I mean, it's a great event, and thank you for putting it together.
I don't want to miss it.
So 2020, you've hinted that it's already being planned?
Big shout out to Jessica Kill. She's got a lot of hate.
That's your organizer this year.
Yeah, she's behind the scenes. She's not like a very public person.
Yeah, she turned it down. I offered to interview her today, and she's like, nope.
She doesn't want to be in front of the cameras. She's just running stuff, but we had a lot of people angry about certain things.
It's always somebody.
Anarchists always have a problem with something.
Yep. You want to run the individualist conference.
People.
That's your problem, Jeff.
It's just people, okay? You deal with 2,000 people, somebody's going to have a stick up their butt about something.
Absolutely, but she's already has like a full Excel spreadsheets for next year already ready right now.
Wow.
Like we're already ready to go for 2020.
That's what you got to do with
her
an event
for
like
6 months out on this event. And I've got to say, the lady's incredibly professional. There's a reason that the event is coming off the way that it's coming off, and it isn't me and Jeff.
Yeah, no, this is a hard thing to do. You've got to know your stuff to do an event
you're having
this large.
people dying. We're getting death threats.
That's right. Let's talk about that real quick. I mean, for God's sakes. So apparently there's some murder that has really nothing to do with your event, and international news then circles around your event. Can you describe that?
Well, first of all, he's a real person. I did know him. His name is John Galton, and rest in peace, and Lily, and we're trying to take care of her. It was a very sad thing to happen. But the fact that international media... Where else would this happen? A guy we all kind of know was involved in drugs in one way or another, and we all agree there should be no war on drugs.
Yeah, of course.
It's all caused by the government. But he ended up getting killed somehow, and we're not clear on all the details. And this is international news. Well, I'll tell you why. Because it was an anarchist, and what else was it? It was in Mexico. Got to make those look very dangerous.
One more thing. The word Anarchapulco is sexy, and that's why they threw you in. I mean, because it's a great name for a great conference, and they decided if they couldn't use the term Anarchaforco, which is the name of his conference.
Right.
So they used because...
Yeah, I got a lot of people messaging me, like, I heard you died.
Right.
The founder of Anarchapulco, the white guy, got shot in front of his wife.
I'm glad you survived it, Jeff.
But yeah, there was...
But I'll tell you that old saying about there's no such thing as bad press. When this first came out, and of course it was first personal, but once it became just a media event... I was like, oh, man, are they going to destroy this conference? No. I think 3 people canceled. Yeah. And, in fact, a lot of press are here. I just talked to the French media, Wired magazines here.
Really?
They all heard about Anarchapulco now.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah. And now we can tell them the truth about what's going on.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they can see it for themselves. Well, there's just a bunch of people out here enjoying themselves.
To me, the real indicator this weekend, Jeff, was the fact that Ron Paul showed up. And,
well, he's the boss.
Some people called out, whatever, that's fine. But that just happens at any conference. Anytime you have a conference, people are going to get sick. They're not going to make it. Wife's going to have a baby or something like that, right? Like something's going to happen. But, yeah, the boss is the right term. He comes in the front door wanders on in here, just kind of takes his sweet time.
He's the boss.
He's not going anywhere anytime soon.
He must have gone up and back 5 times.
A few times before he even went in to speak. Then he comes out, hangs out again for a while, goes into his dinner, comes back out, hangs out again for a while, goes up to the elevators, hangs out over there, taking pictures, selfies, all kinds of, just talking with people. He was hanging out with Lynn Ulbrich, talking with her for a little while.
His same humble self all the time.
Just if there was
He's
anybody... Yeah, and this is what I wrote about at freekeen.com today. He said, look, Ron Paul's not a chicken.
Yeah, and just so you know, because you didn't bring it up, Judge Napolitano canceled, and a lot of people don't know this. He's a Rothbardian anarchist. He's hardcore anarchist. And I actually thought he was scared to come here because of the news. I found out later it was Fox News who has a contract with them. And when they found out he was speaking at an anarchist conference in Mexico, they said he couldn't go.
I see.
I left that out of my article because you didn't tell me I could make that public, but that's interesting. I'm glad that you shared that.
You got the
I wouldn't doubt it.
Hot off the presses. I haven't told anyone.
Yeah, that's breaking news here at Free Talk Live. All right, Jeff, anything else we missed to ask you about this year?
I don't think so, man. Thank you guys for coming. I'm having a blast. It's like my first year that I can really relax.
I have fun.
There's so many people running it.
Yeah, it's true. I've actually seen you a few times this year. Previous ones, it's like, there's Jeff and he's gone. And now you've been all over.
I had to go look for a cable, or we're missing some microphones.
It's the amazing.
I'm at Home Depot shopping.
Yeah, the things you've got to run and do when you're in charge. It stinks. I'm so glad you've got the crew put together on this. And when you can have that same person year after year, that kind of continuity is so meaningful and makes the event so much smoother.
So hopefully Jessica Kill will do it again next year, because it's been really hard.
Jeff, want to thank you again. Appreciate being here. Thanks for having us, and we're coming back hopefully for 2020. That's what I'm looking forward to.
We're delighted to come back for 2020.
We're happy to. I would love it. It's a great event. Don't miss it in 2020. Anarchapulco.com, and should be back in Keene myself here in a little bit. Mark, you're coming back in March.
Yeah, I'm staying here for the whole month.
Yep. So more coming up tomorrow night. FreeTalkLive.com from Anarchapulco.
We'd like to invite you to visit freekeen.com. Freekeen.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. Freekeen.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. Freekeen.com.